allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started with our 8/14/2023 council meeting. First department on the agenda is CDC, additional discussion, Economic Development Commission ordinance.
Thank you, Ken. Good evening again, everyone. So last month you approved the advertising of the $200,000 additional appropriation I had requested for professional services line item, and that obviously is on the agenda. But before you get to the decision approving that, I wanted to provide you with this color-coded worksheet you should have in front of you at the top of your packets, highlighting the available cash in that fund. Actually had 2 invoices come in this afternoon after I had prepared this, so that once next week's invoices are approved, I will have $51.92 in this fund without the appropriation. You can see it is color-coded. The light red is represents the couple of bills this year for our architects for the work release dormitory plans project that we put on ice. The medium red reflects legal service bills that have come to my office, and then the dark red reflects all of the courthouse related costs, which will be reimbursed once the bond is issued. Out of $500,000, about $395,000 has been spent on that courthouse cost. Another $25,000 on the Baker Tilly cash flow analyses, which may or may not be able to be rolled into that bond. You'll see only the white lines are those that have not been related to one of these 3 things. Actually, another one of those white ones is a cash flow analysis follow-up that I failed to highlight. But the point is, almost the entire expenditure out of this fund has been for things other than my office. And those will continue to come that I need to be able to pay. Most of the $200 I'm requesting will be reimbursed by the bond as well, but I have to be able to get through to, as I mentioned earlier, that September bid letting date when the bond will have been issued, so that we don't have a work stoppage and have to have this conversation.
Any question for Nathan on that portion of his presentation?
Right. And the rest of your packet pertains to ordinance number 2023-05. I had presented it to you last month, and after there were some questions and concerns that a couple of members felt needed to be addressed, you tabled it to resume tonight. So I am presenting that for your consideration, along with a copy of the ordinance itself. Are some materials that I emailed out to you after last month's meeting. Other communities that have economic development commissions as well as redevelopment commissions, language from our strategic plan addressing this commission, proposal that we had prepared June of last year with some summaries of what the economic development does, how it's set up, etc. So I will be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have tonight regarding this.
Any questions for Nathan on this?
I got a little research through that OCRA program, and I spoke with Jerry White a little bit. We can get a grant. It's not that costly. We only have to match 10%. That can do an economic development strategy plan for our whole county. And there's also a comprehensive plan that's kind of distributed some pamphlets out tonight. I think it's something we really need to look at.
So this first section, or this second page in here with the numbers pages in 18 and 19, that is the economic development strategic plan for the county. We did that. We started that process in 17, 18 or so. Between staff loss and the pandemic, it kind of got hijacked, but it resumed in 2020, 2021. We do have that. The comprehensive plan the county's comprehensive plan has gone much longer without being updated. That would be a conversation for the Building and Zoning Department and Plan Commission. I think it's worthwhile. And yes, planning grants are fairly commonplace tool that communities use from OCA. We did not use the strategic plan because we had one that was so dated, fresh enough that we could use it as the base plan instead of starting over and bringing a consultant in the process. But the comprehensive plan was actually completed, I believe, prior to the economic development strategic plan that we then updated. It was the one we updated was done right before I came to Pulaski. So the strat plan probably 2008, 2009.
Yeah, I can, add to that. Yeah, when me and Mike Cheedy were commissioners, we did a strategic plan for the county and all. Now, like I said, I don't know. I know it's been updated once, but yeah, there was a strategic plan, and there is one that is developed for Pulaski County.
So I still think we need to revisit it and let Jerry come and speak to us.
Oh, that's fine.
I mean, we literally just did one. The economic development strategic plan is 2 years old at that. We adopted at the end of 21, so a year and a half. You're limited at the number of grants you can carry. So if a planning grant is something you want to explore, I think a comprehensive plan update would be a much better use of the county's time and as far as those grants. No, we didn't spend nearly as much county money as we would have if we had done. Jerry is just the middleman. That's going to be paying Kirpsey to solicit a consultant from the outside to come in and do it. Jerry's just the liaison for Okra who provides. I am always happy to hear what Jerry has to say, but I've got a request in for you guys to approve another position in my budget. Like, there is no way to justify my office's workload adding a planning grant process when we've just done a strategic plan, one that calls for us to establish the commission I'm asking you to establish tonight.
Well, and kind of add on to that, that would be something that would fall under the commissioners anyhow. It wouldn't be, the strategic plan is something that the commissioners would do. I mean, we would fund it if they weren't paying for it out of one of their funding mechanisms. But not that we can't always go to the commissioners and ask them to look at anything we want them to ask for, but it would be up to them to take that ball and really run with it, because we don't have we don't fund that directly.
The CDC did with public input from the commissioners, the county council, and various partner organizations like the Uptown Project, the Community Foundation, the Chamber of Commerce. There was a consultant out of Indianapolis, Genovis, that developed the original strategic plan. And besides the fact that it was close to a decade old, the reason that we updated it, quite frankly, it was really a fairly generic plan. We're all aware of the logistic issues that we have as far as attracting large businesses in the community, no major highways, minimal rail service, and the population issues. There was an entire section basically saying, throw darts at the wall and wherever it lands, try to attract that business into the community, which doesn't fit with the county's staffing or funding priorities.
For Mike TV to be here.
I feel like Mr. Teedy was pretty insistent. He only wanted it to be tabled for 1 month, whether or not he's here tonight. He specifically said tabling it till next month and that's it. I appreciate that, but my point is that I was asked to provide information, sent all of this.
Yeah,
Nobody at this table sought any further information. I'm on a timeline with working with the commissioners to get other
Well,
parts of this in place.
First, what I'm going to say is we do have a quorum here, and there is a motion on the floor. If the motion dies for a second, then we won't vote on it. If it does get a second and we vote on it and it gets quashed, then we will revisit it at the next meeting or the next meeting, but I can't deny a motion that's been put on the floor. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Sheriff?
Yes, thank you. I asked for the time on here, because as you see in your packet, there's, several transfer requests. I want to bring up this transfer request. I can show our people some of the regular pay. It's more overtime pay for dispatchers, for deputies, and for the correctional staff. So that's the reason for that. There is a animal control, that's where key, once we switch the vehicles around to be able to help the dogs and the other vehicle, we're going to switch them around to. So, basically, it's pretty straightforward. You know, you're down with people, I got to put other people in there, I got to pay them overtime, they're in overtime status, so that's the reason for that. Now, we're good stewards of that. And you see the gas, we would transfer some of the money from there. The former sheriff did a good job budgeting that, the gas price came down, that was a big sure, he's able to take out that, so I appreciate that. If you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them.
Any questions for the sheriff?
Person confronted me about why do we have 3 dog units?
Because we got the last one without any use to the county. He brought, if you remember when I talked back in February,
He was one of them.
yeah, he brought tens of thousands of dollars with him. I mean, he had a dog up there, his heart paid for it, to start doing anything with the dog. So I could very well turn that away for free, the asset like that. He was I think he's a very hard worker, that's all 3 of them on. I don't want to apologize for being here because he was very hard working. We have 3 because they are 3 hard workers. Seth has a dog, Cody, Mouse has a dog, and he has a dog. As I said, somebody can give me a car, but I don't want to do that. I'll make this 4 weeks in 3 weeks, or 2 weeks in 3, so that's the reason for that.
How much additional expense is there?
His is very minimal. Each dog handler gets a half an hour a day that they're paid for, and it's very minimal to feed and care for the dog. And they didn't train him to be involved. Seth is a trainer, so he helps with that expense. It is very minimal. For what they put out in the work product, it's far, we far away ahead of where we would be done that for a dog. So that was my hesitation at first, but it is an asset for the county.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Community Foundation? Dan Wright's not here? Okay. Well, then we'll move on to the transfers. We have EMS, 400 from travel to janitorial supplies. The sheriff, he just explained there's a number of them and what they're for, so I won't read through each one of them. Extension, 810 from postage to rent and leases. EMA, 500 from tubes and tires, 250 from equipment to gas, oil, and et cetera. We have an additional that needs advertised, 50,000 for sand and gravel, 200,000 for bituminous from the highway. Then we have the CDC additional that has been advertised, just needs to be either voted up or down, 200,000 professional services. I'll entertain a motion for any part of or all.
I'll
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to approve the transfers, additionals for advertising and the additional as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? No opposed? Passes. Okay, approve and sign the 2007, or excuse me, approve and sign the 07/10/2023 regular meeting minutes. Everybody, I hope has seen them and read them. I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All right. Matrix payroll discussion, wage adjustment, cost of living raises, longevity, and meeting pay. As I'm sure everybody, I know everybody on the council, Laura and most others are aware that we are presenting, the sheriff, the highway, and myself are presenting a wage adjustment for them two departments. This was put together by the departments. The numbers are numbers that have come from their leadership. They have said that they are 100% in support of them, and they will support them and keep them from now through to the 2025 budget. I know that I'm sure there's great concern from other departments out there. Why aren't we all getting adjusted at the same time? Unfortunately, nobody has been forgotten. Up until last meeting, was not willing to do a partial adjustment. I wanted to include everybody all in one sweep, whether it was all or partial wage adjustment, but I wanted to give everybody something at once. I realized that that's just a hard task to take under all at one time, so I decided or felt that it was best to kind of break this down into groups, not forget anybody, but hit those that were the most critical at this point in time. I apologize. I'm going to read this off my phone because I'll mess it up if I don't. As a fiscal body of the county, we have tough decisions to make. I know everyone will not be happy with the decisions, but we are doing what we can with the financial situation we are in to make sure our employees are safe and we are retaining qualified employees to our county. The departments getting the raises have had continuous issues over the last 2 years with retaining employees and attracting new employees. The public relies heavily on these departments for safe roads and their own personal safety. We value every one of our employees, but difficult times require difficult solutions. We will entertain other departments' raises when, as a board, we feel it is fiscally responsible to do so. Like I said, I'll reiterate one more time that, this is something that we spent a lot of time on. I know the sheriff and Fred Rogers was heavily involved, and Gary and Nathan was involved because of doing the wage study, and they've put a lot of time into this. Like once again, we're not forgetting anybody. We're just making the necessary changes at this point in time to get through, and we will start working on the next phase, as soon as possible. Everybody got a copy of the salary order or the salary adjustments, the changes to the matrix, so they see what it is. For the Sheriff's Department, it's about $299,161, which is below what they had in their budget originally. So, they did make adjustments to get it down, but we also did our best to keep it, within reason to the wage study that the CDC. Highways and that was a number for a year. Highways for a year, roughly 125,744. That's not including the perf and FICA annual increases. But that has all been calculated into what the cost to the county is. County highway will come from county highway funds, which does not affect the general budget. The sheriff, we have, Sheriff's Department, we've looked at using and got approval from the commissioners to use the ARPA money. They have allotted enough money to do the next 2 years and the last quarter of this year. That is one thing. These raises, I'm hoping will be passed and approved, will be going into effect starting October 1st, or the first pay period of October when it works into the auditor's pay matrix. Bring that to fruition. I don't know if the sheriff or the highway has anything they want to add to this. They're more than welcome to speak if they would like to have a moment.
Yes, this has been a long process. Yes, my family. A lot of thoughts went into it. Frank just, Ken just skipped over it real shortly. He spent a lot of time on this. We spent a lot of time on this. I didn't have to go over here, the numbers guy, because I would say, you need to adjust it. Hey, you need to adjust it more. And he would sit down for hours and go through that. I met with you guys after hours. I would hope that you would give careful consideration to doing something for these guys. I'm young people. It was come to a critical state. I don't think it's going to cure all the problems. It's going to cure the problems with hiring and retaining these people. There's a lot of training sitting in this room. Dispatchers, correctional officers, deputies. We got an investment in them. I think, if you ask me, I'm like, come on, go back to my true days. Why do you want to get this one? We're all honest to help you. I think you can turn it around and help them by putting a little bit more money in their pocket, make it a livable wage for them. It's going to go a long way in helping my department. I hope we get careful consideration of that. I appreciate all the time for everybody on the board. I appreciate my family listening to me. It's been a long process. I'm praying that it goes through. Thank you for your time. Anybody have questions about anything? Nathan said in office too. I want to read out the commissioners for approving ARPA funds. You guys know who you are. I appreciate it. Tim, thank you.
Thank you.
I basically want to reiterate what Chris Sam said. I appreciate everything that you, Nathan, has done for us. We're saying for me, I had a gentleman walk in this morning and say, I'm done in 2 weeks. So now I'm down to 5. So this will help. Hopefully it'll get some to come in the door, and I greatly appreciate, like I say, the council working with us, and we're getting closer. Like Chris said, at least my guys that are there now knows that we're trying to keep them. It's hard to keep good people, and I want to speak for everybody else in the county. I know you guys are going to work for them too. At least they could everyone could get something. Like I say, we're losing people. So thank you again for everything. And Nathan, he's done a lot of work in this wage study, and it's greatly appreciated by the highway myself.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion from the board? There's no discussion from the board. I would entertain a motion to approve the wage adjustment for the highway and the sheriff's department as presented. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. We will have our next budget hearing will be on August 28th at 4 p.m. at the Sheriff's Department conference room. I'll open it up to any board reports. Anybody from the board have anything they want to report on? All right, public comment? Yes, Teresa?
I agree that they both need raises, but don't forget about the rest of us. Because we're here during COVID too. Because we're not shorthanded. So don't forget us.
We won't. We
Thank
won't.
you.
Yes. Coker?
I just want to say thank you, first of all, for the raises for the sheriff's department. We see what they do. We appreciate what they do for our courts and in our buildings, and so that's really important. But I think it's also important because I've sent out invitations, and I do that continuously for people to come and visit the courtroom and see. Some of you who work in that area know what goes on, some of you don't. And so it's really important for you to come and see what the courts do, see what all of these other offices do, because our people don't feel appreciated. They don't feel like they are a critical piece of the puzzle for all of this. And that's something that has moved from a feeling to now they are voicing that. And I don't think I'm alone when I say that about my employees. And, you know, they deserve to be appreciated. They deserve to feel as though their work is important, because we all work together as a team in this county, and we've worked really hard to make sure. We work with the sheriff's department. We've continued that with Sheriff Richwine. We work with the prosecutor's office. All of these people have worked extremely hard to make sure that we are functioning as a team now. And those of you who have been around know that it didn't used to be like that. And so we've made some really, really good advancements in how this system works. But we have to make sure that we are acknowledging the work that these employees do. My staff, I can only speak directly about my staff, but I have 3 individuals who handle, I told you guys last week, 1,500 cases right now. It's extremely taxing. They work long hours, they work weekends, they work nights. When I get called in the middle of the night to do an EDO or a search warrant, you can guarantee that one of my staff members has received that report and done what they need to do with it. And I'll have it on my desk by Monday morning. They work second jobs to make sure that they can meet what they need to be doing. And some of them have been there 20 years at this point. And it's continued to be like this. So thank you for recognizing the Highway Department and the sheriffs. We all appreciate that and know that that's important. But we really want to see individuals in our departments to see what our people do, so that you can acknowledge their importance, and so that at least they feel seen by those of you who are making those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to echo a lot of what just reiterated Coker said. Our department and the staff at the jail all work really hard to make sure that we're all safe. The highway department has given me a beautiful road outside of my house. And so I'm not begrudging them that, but I want you to remember, those of you and know those who aren't, when we asked for the circuit court, we got told, no, it doesn't matter if you can find the money in your budget, you're not going to raise your budget, you can't give raises, and you can't have a full-time person. Now I'm down a full-time person. So I have 2 people doing the job, 2.5 people doing the job of my part-time person working full-time. She's got 2 or 3 other jobs. And so I don't know how long that's going to go on, and I'm going to have to hire somebody. And when we are picking and choosing who gets raises, it doesn't, my staff is very concerned about that. And so you need to know that if you are going to do this one office at a time or 2 offices at a time, you are essentially telling employees, you're just not as important. We're closed for 2 days during the rest of the time. Cases, we filed paperwork, processed it all, got caught up on all of that. And so employees that I have work very, very hard. They come in early, 6:30 when we have trials. They stay late when we have trials, and that eats into their family. It's something that also happens with Judge Coker's. And so when we decide as a board, we're going to do this, but not for others, it's painful to everybody who has to supervise people, have people working, they work really hard. I don't know that we have an employee in any of the offices, I would say, doesn't care about their job. So my ladies care very much about their jobs. And now I've got to hire somebody new saying, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get a raise. I don't know how much it's going to be. I don't know how much I can pay. And that's really difficult as someone who's trying to run an office. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Boyer?
As a member of the general public, I appreciate what the sheriff's office does, judges, the highway. Must remain competitive.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Well, thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm just going to echo to the same sentiments. I can appreciate the sheriff and what he has to do, and highway department as well. I had a position open just not that long ago. It took almost a year to fill because people, when they ask how much you're going to pay, they just laugh at you. So I can understand the difficulties that they have. But again, if you're going to go department wide individually, so are we going to get back pay to this date? Because it's not, is that really fair that they're going to get an increase and then that's going to be a quarter of a year that's going to be paid ahead for them? So those are questions you're going to have to ask yourselves, because they're going to get more, and duly so. But what about the rest of us? Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Where's the microphone? I reiterate everything that everybody else has said. I appreciate everything the sheriff's department does. They work hard. I am the mother of a law enforcement officer in another county. I know the challenge. They definitely deserve it. I would like to publicly thank Gary. I'd like to publicly thank Gary and several of his men who took the time out of an afternoon to help us move quickly into what will be our temporary location. We appreciate that tremendously. Because of the move and the courthouse renovation project, my staff is coming in early. They're working through lunches, they're staying late. We're trying to get things ready for this move. I can't compensate them financially. They're getting comp time. I can't compensate them for the extra work that they're doing to get ready for this, let alone the hours they put in on a regular day just to keep up with the courts, the prosecutor, and the sheriff. So again, I do not begrudge anybody getting a raise, but please remember us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, if no further comments, the next commissioners meeting is Monday, August 21st at 8:30 a.m. Next council meeting is Monday, September 11th at 7 p.m. And the next joint session is October 9th at 6 p.m. Saying that, we will adjourn our meeting for tonight. Thank you, everyone.